Welcome, everybody. 29 beautiful souls on. Short notice as usual, but if you're watching on replay, thanks for being here. I don't know what the sound is like. Last time the microphone was a bit close, and I think I had the microphone level on very high and it sounded a bit disrupted. Let me know if it sounds okay. If not, I'll just tweak it up a little bit. The microphone is quite far away from me. But let me know how that sounds. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Brendan. Lovely to see you. Hi, Peter. Hi, Alan. Oh, all the wonderful souls are here. Beautiful souls here today. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Tony's here. Oh, so many people are here. That's lovely. Welcome. So many I recognize. Thanks for joining me. So it looks like I've got a sound is great. That's great. So sometimes when I switch this on, it reverts back to the inbuilt microphone. It sounds a bit weird. I wanted it to sound okay for us today. So first of all, welcome to the Pure Energy Healing Academy, where here we've experienced as healers and practitioners some amazing things that cannot be explained in a most beautiful way. Where I talk about things that can't be explained, it's always in the most healing of our spirit world, our world where we come from, that they have the ability to come into this room and help heal those that are in such a bad place. Now, think about that for a moment. Why is it that so many people go to healers? Normally, they go to healers because they're in a bad place. There's something terrible has happened. They've maybe lost somebody that they love. Maybe they're heartbroken because somebody's left them. Maybe a school friend has said something nasty to them. Maybe a woman is jealous of another woman's man and they're sending bad thoughts and vibes and stuff. And so people generally come when they're lost, where they're feeling bad and just generally really down. And that is their energy, what they carry around with them. What their brain produces, which is a frequency and an energy, if it's low, then your whole aura is low. And a healer can see that. They can feel it instantly. And I'm not saying we're special, because you can feel it and see it. If somebody walks into your energy, you can feel it. Even though you can see them and you can see they're sad or they're crying, you can feel it. And then your heart starts to sink. Right? That feeling of feeling bad and worried and nervous for the person you're with, that is a feeling, and feelings go into your body and you then start to try and make sense of it. As a healer, that's what we do, but we try and do that without looking. So we don't like to cold read. In the Pure Energy Healing Academy, I refuse to cold read. I refuse to cold read. And I tell people that cold read means that you're watching every movement. So when they come in with a bad leg, I'm not interested in the bad leg, because now I'm focused on the bad leg. If somebody's coming in and they're holding their neck or their shoulders, I'm refused to cold read. I'm not interested, because 9 times out of 10, that energy which is being created here and the pain is here normally comes from somewhere else. And we're not about doctors. We're not there to try and band-aid energy. We're trying to go to the root cause, heal that, and then that disappears. So that goes with all energy that we work with. We work with energy. We look for the energy and where the root cause is. So therefore, healers, in the nature, after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, we know what heartbreak is. Heartbreak is just a word, but it's a frequency, and we can feel that frequency. Why? Because we can work on a client and we can feel their heart, and we find that we're Jesus, my hand's over the heart all the time, and it's burning on the heart, and maybe a little bit on the forehead at the front lobe, maybe at the side, depending where, and then all of a sudden you think, wow, this person's got heartache. This person's really upset because somebody's left them. Then they get up, they feel better, and then they might say, I've just split up from my partner. And then, wow, what a confirmation. And to a good healer, to a professional healer, they know the difference between energies: energy of heartbreak, energy of grief, energy of any physical pain, depending where that physical pain is. I got to the point as a healer after 20 years of knowing that this is your liver, this is your kidney, this is no, it's not your shoulder, it's this, it's there. So it's not your foot, it's coming from your head. So we get to understand. That's why we don't want to know. A good healer doesn't want to know anything. Don't tell me anything. A good healer will find the root cause and heal it, and then the client goes and then tells everybody because they're better, and then you become busy. So that's what happened to me. But along that journey, I was getting people saying, I feel really, really bad, Mark. And something, it feels like I'm not me anymore. It feels like I'm not connecting to anything. And it's like, lie down, let me just work on you. So you work on the whole body, you find where it's coming from, and then you realize that something's happening in the mind, and whatever is being created in the mind is causing effect of the whole body. So the mind is ultimately number one place that you must keep clear. You must always see as a temple, and you want to keep that temple clean and shiny with loads of, colors and wonderful opportunities to let things in and out, but not to encage it, not to put brick walls around your mind, not to, imprison your mind. Oh, that's it. No, it isn't. That's it. What you think it is now, but it can change tomorrow. This is what I believe. Yeah, but hang on. You might change your mind tomorrow. Don't be stubborn. Don't imprison your thoughts. Just let them come and go. And why? Because as a healer, what we find is that when our body is like this and we open our body up, we receive information and it flows out. And you're like, oh my God, that information's gone. No, because you're always receiving new information. So everything that comes through goes out. So it's a beautiful thing to become a vessel to receiving and let go. Let it go. So the world is changing, right? Everything is changing. If you were stuck in 1980, you're a mess now, pal. You're finished. You're a walking like zombie. But if you are allowing the energy to come through to the change of what's happening, you can navigate your way through this world. Oh, yes, it's insane. Yes, we're seeing grown men dressing as women and dancing in front of little tiny children now, in ways that is shocking. And we can see there's evil taking place. We know that evil is now in control of many parts of everything. The industry of drugs, the industry of medicine, the industry of films. They've been hijacked. School hijacked to a degree where it's almost insane. And it's insane because insanity to evil people is bliss. So to you and I, this is a mad world now. But if we just stay open and let it come and go, we see the transformation of many things. We see the truth. We receive the truth all the time. So we're always being given information which is around us, which is information, which is healing. So many things that are given, good thoughts, great ideas, things to this is receiving. So clear mind means that you can keep filling it, but don't hold on to it. That's what I'm saying. This is a really good point right now. Don't hold on to anything. Okay, I felt it. I understand it. It's awful, but let's let it go. And then receive, then the receiving comes. When you ask for something, when you say, please help, you just don't, you don't wait for it. You just get on with your life and your day, and then it pops into your mind. It comes through. Normally when you're in alpha is normally when you're driving and you get from A to B and don't know how you got there. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm driving. How did I just get here? That's alpha. That's the same as meditation. It's the same of just being in at peace. It's being open to receiving. So point one today, be open to receiving at any given moment, and you will receive information that will make you feel stronger, happier, more wise, more content with your life, and more protected. And that's the whole point. So point one, really, it was very rare that I ever needed to help anybody who was happy. right? I mean, really happy with themselves. So it wasn't like somebody came in happy and said, oh my God, I've got attachments, I've got demonic energies, right? You just don't get that. So why don't you get that? Why don't people run and come into you saying, help, I'm so happy, but I've got attachments? Because they're not happy. Their energy is low, they're sick, they're ill, they might have disease, they might be heartbroken, they might be taking medication, they might be alcoholic, they might be down and depressed. All of these nonsense words that we regurgitate thinking that they are something when they're nothing. It's just simply energy that needs shifting. Why is that? Well, as a healer over these 2 decades, I've noticed that people lie down and after 1 hour of healing, they're better and they get up. And I'm saying, and then they send me a message. I used to get this all the time. Message saying, I've never felt this way in my life. It's like something's gone. Something's shifted. Something's changed. I feel like a different person. All right, so you don't feel depressed anymore. You don't feel sick anymore. You don't feel heartbroken anymore. No, it's gone. Like, okay, so what does that mean? It can only mean one thing, that whatever was causing you the issue was energy, an energy that we moved, that we blasted, that we created via this opening up and allowing in to come out. So a good healer never is in suffering and pain, and a good healer will never ever heal you because of that reason, because you're open, so you're receiving and you're giving. So a good healer is always in a good state of mind, number one, always healthy, and above all at least 80 to 90% feeling strong and balanced. That's a good healer then. If a healer's not feeling well, a good healer should turn around and open the door, say, I'm sorry, I know you've come from Italy, I'm sorry, but I'm not strong enough to heal you today. And it doesn't matter what they say. They might scream and shout, or they might get upset and they might walk away. And you say to them, look, tomorrow I should be better. If I am, I'll let you know. I'll send you a message. And then they come and you give them the healing session free of charge and apologize for that day. That's a good healer. A good healer doesn't think, oh, well, oh my God, they've come all this way. Oh my God. No, they think about their energy, because I'm thinking about you. I want you to have the best healing session. I want to be able to come into your house and heal that house, cleanse that house. And if I'm not in a good place, I will not be able to do that. So these are the things that good healers should take on board. If you are, even if you're not a pure energy healer, it doesn't matter. Take on board these things, because they will help you vitally along your journey of healing for the next 20 or 30 years. So today, take a breath, Mark. Today, I want to get as much in as I can, because 5 o'clock is the Richie Allen radio show, and I'd like to listen to that. So I'd like to do 1 hour today. So we've still got another, we're up to 13 minutes. So attachments, let's just go through this. So we've got some people will tell you that there's a demonic world, and in that demonic world there are kind of like, I think they talk about hierarchy. So Jerry Mazinski talks about this. He believes that there's a certain hierarchy. So you get, your weaker demons and your stronger demons, blah, blah, blah. For me, it's never been something that I wrote down and saw as an issue. In fact, if you know anything about my work, I've kept stum, because I believe that the power of healing clears all entity, which I do to this day. However, because things are getting out of hand, because the tables have tipped in the favor of darkness, there is a lot more negative energy in this world and around us. Now, there is wonderful energy that we can create, and there's wonderful energy that we can meet people and be strong and wonderful. But we still have to be aware that at any given moment, wherever we are in the world, that we have to be aware of our energy. We have to be aware of how we're feeling. And sometimes we can have an attachment or a simple brush by something that's just passing around us, and we can feel it. So we could go into a room and people may have attachments, people may be negative, people may be sick, and we can feel that in the room. We can feel their anger, we can feel their rage. We have to be aware of this, and we have to be aware that we don't want to corrupt our energy. We are all tuning forks, vibrating at our own frequency, but if there is enough dark energy frequency vibrating at a low frequency, you can be sure that you will be somehow vibrated into line into that. So if there's too much of negative energy, you'll vibrate into that. And don't tell me you haven't, because there are times that you've been in a crowd, or you've been at a football match or a concert or something, and then everybody is happy, you become happy. You go to another place where everybody's angry, you become angry. So frequency can disrupt your frequency if there's enough of that heavy energy or enough positivity. So if you go to a nightclub and you're not feeling well, you'll find that because everybody's happy, you'll vibrate at the frequency. Not when they're all drunk, not when they're all off their head on drugs. I'm talking about when you go to a wedding or something like that and there's a party going, you'll feel that energy and it'll lift you up. Or you'll meet a friend and you're feeling down and your friend's happy and joyful. They can lift you up. They can make you feel better. To their unfortunate dislike afterwards, because they'll feel worse, because they're giving you their energy, they're giving you to make you feel better. So your battery life will increase, but unfortunately theirs goes down, and that's normally what happens unless they're a healer. Now if you're a healer and you're with a friend and you are opened up and you're not being you're not taking things personally, which means that you're pouring your energy from your heart battery, is giving it to them. If you open yourself up and just not allow your heart battery to give anything, but just to be open up and to touch them and allow the energy to run through your hand and go onto their shoulder or their back, just touch them, you will find that without doing anything, by holding your other hand like this, putting it down somewhere and just touch them like that and just talk to them with your hand there, you'll find that there's an automatic natural energy that comes through the universe that will come through your hand, through your body and right out of your hand. And if you breathe in and out of your mouth through your nose, blow out through your mouth, you will find that that person will strengthen and you won't be affected. This is how healers work. So the information that I share with you today is the 20 years of what I've learned in my healing practice, in houses, or just sat with people when they're in a bad place. So attachments come in different forms. All forms are different. All attachments are different. When people say there's a hierarchy and a lower hierarchy, I have no idea about that. It's not something I studied. What I studied was how to clear entity and how to understand why entity comes and how we can get rid of it and when it goes. So entity comes and it can stay with you, and it can also go any given moment, depending on what the terrain is like around you, what your energy is like. So you find that for me, my closest thing that I observed was creating a circle. A circle was created because of my work with shamans. I learned to understand how circles were made. We call them, there are many different names for rituals, but not rituals like satanic rituals or dark rituals. It was more of a flower blessing. But if anybody creates a circle, it's a very powerful frequency and energy. So I created it with flowers, with rice, with crystals, with candles, and things that made me feel good. And then I would cleanse the circle with all sorts of stuff. So I'd get it all ready. I'd spend maybe an hour getting that circle ready, but the circle will be inviting only love and light, only healing. I know it's a corny word, love and light, but love is the most powerful energy in the world. And it's a corny thing that everybody says, but it's true. Love heals everything. So if you're working on that good energy, you're in a good place, you feel the love, you call upon your family in spirit, which you can do. You can call upon your family. I call upon my mum. My mum works alongside me in the spirit world. Not so much now, but she did then. It was almost full time. So I used to call my mum and ask her to come. I used to call sometimes Brian on the wall, Shirley I'd call. There's so many people that I knew as great people in this world, I'd call them, and sometimes they would come, and then sometimes they wouldn't come, depend. And then sometimes the family member would come, so the family would be there already waiting for a client to come, their family to come. So then I realized that, wow, the spirit world actually lead people to where they need to be healed, which is a fascinating thing. So as a circle night, I used to invite people, maybe 20 to 50 people, and there would be another circle around them where they're all sat in chairs, and I'd invite one person at a time to come into the circle to have a cleansing ritual, basically to cleanse any negative energy that's stuck or attached to them. Now, there's a difference between negative energy that you create, that's stuck within you, and attachment or demonic or whatever you want to call them. There's so many words for entities. Okay, so I'm in Sweden, and everybody comes, and this lady, I saw this lady had an attachment. I could see it straight away, the way she was walking, the way she was moving, the way it wasn't her, it was something else which was in her and attached to her, and I could feel the entity or the demonic energy was looking at me. In fact, yesterday, on a side note, I was at the airport, and a man walked up to me from nowhere, stopped, looked at me in the eye, and I thought, Jesus, this guy's got an attachment, a really evil attachment. He just looked at me and stood there for about what felt like 6 seconds. And I just stood there and I smiled. And then he stopped and walked off. And I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at the entity. Now, I am seeing this more and more. I am recognizing this more and more. And that's why I've been telling you guys, people are losing the plot. They're losing the plot because they've got attachments, and the attachments are becoming stronger in this world. Now, you can run away and you can think it's nonsense. No problem. I know my truth. I know what happens. I know when somebody is in good health and well-being, and I know somebody when somebody is balanced and in their own power. And I know when somebody has attachments. So I know this over 20 years. It's not guesswork. It's just knowing and feeling. So forget that demonic energy. It was gone. It was trying to wind me up. It was trying to, I don't know the right word, but it was trying to do something. It was, I don't know whether it was trying to test me, whether it was trying to, but it didn't work. And it knew it didn't work because I faced it and I had no fear. I have no fear. When I'm doing the work, I have no fear. None at all. None whatsoever. You can do what you want. The attachment can do what it wants. It can smash things. It can get angry with the client. It doesn't faze me at all because I know the end result is that you're going to be cleaned and cleansed. So getting back to the point in story, let me try and understand this in a way that you'll understand. I keep wanting to go back to saying that none of this matters when you are fully strong and healthy, but also when you are kind, caring, loving, when you do no harm, when you're just a good person. And the reason why is because there is a frequency of goodness. There's a frequency of love. There's a frequency of kindness and sharing. And there's a frequency of creativity. There's a frequency of doing good. And you cannot be penetrated by that. There are so many things over the years that I've noticed of people, and that when people do good, when people are kind and caring, it's almost like there's a protective energy around them. So some people might say, I've heard this from shamans, I've heard it from psychics and healers, that you are protected. Okay, you're protected when you are doing good, and that is only to a degree, because you have a life path, and sometimes in that life path you've chose to experience things that are challenging, and the stronger you are, the more you experience which are challenging. So then you'll turn around and say, why did that happen to me if I'm protected? Well, I could have said the same thing, and I'll tell you something. I broke my ankle really badly, and I shouted out loud, why? And I posted a few days later, I posted that I broke my ankle, and somebody said, somebody said that's because you weren't protected. So you must have done something. And it was one of the first messages that came up that I saw. And I went, wow, there's something in that. And I had to sit back and think, what did I do that changed my luck, my frequency? Was the break something that is an accident, or was there a reason for it? Now, you might be thinking, oh, this is bad, but actually my last break was here. And if it wasn't for the break, I would have never have written that book. I would never have written that. And this is my favorite book, by the way, right? I would never have written that. There's no way I would have been able to write it. I was fully booked for months. There was no way I would have been able to write it. I just didn't have any time. Broke my arm, couldn't do any healing. Of course I couldn't. So perfect opportunity. Walked down, took the bus down to Fuengirola, met with Arlene. Arlene worked on the book with me as my ghostwriter, or the writer to help me. We had lots of carrot cake together, and we produced, all right, it's only thin, but it was my first book, and I'm proud of it. So I look back now and say, okay, there was reasons why that happened. I learned a lot by who I could trust as well, and who was kind and who was caring and who just used me. And I learned so much in that time of suffering with this, that there is, oh, go to hell, because apparently so many people say such absolute garbage. I'm going to go to hell now because I've got a tattoo. It was meant to say healer of hearts. You know, if I'm meant to go to hell because I've got a tattoo, does that mean everybody else who have got tattoo are going to hell? You know, some people really believe that. And what about all of these people who write on cups? I mean, he's writing evil, you know, he's writing evil. Well, you know, I write on a cup love and healing and healer of hearts. Really? Is that, you know, if I write on here, you know, I want to drink the blood of a child, then, you know, I think you're going to back to where you come from. I don't believe in heaven and hell. I believe in different parts of the universe, which has different energies in the universe. And some of those energies come from dark sources, which they believe is light to them. And we believe our source of energy is light. So we are protected by our source of light. But maybe Satanists believe that their energy, I mean, if you're a Satanist and you believe in, you know, torturing children and causing pain and suffering, then that's who you are, which makes it where you come from normal. That's normal to you. So that's why you don't understand why people like us that want to treat children with love and compassion, and we want to give them all the wisdom and the knowledge to help them along their journey, they don't understand that. They just want to cause pain and suffering. So when you understand that, it's the same as the different spirit worlds. There's more than one spirit world. That's why I don't believe in God per se. I believe in a universal energy, which we are a drop from that ocean, which is far away from here, which is so close to here. So there is no distance. So you can be there in a second, or it could be gazillion miles away. But there is no time and space when you are a spirit. It is what it is. Like a single thought, you can be where you want to be with a single thought as a spirit. Takes you to where you need to be as a single thought. You're not flying at speed of light or faster. You don't materialize. You just are where you think. And this is the truth. This is how it works. So you know, when you go into a conscious state and you start meditating and you would want to astral travel to be somewhere, or you want to heal somebody who's 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 miles away, and you step through the screen and you're in that room healing them, you are in that room. Your consciousness has gone into that room. My work is not a joke. My work is what I've learned over 20 years. And I have studied the work by understanding, because I'm an inquisitive man. I don't just do things for the sake of doing them. I want to know why it works and how it works. And I've spent more time in Mother Nature by a tree than anybody that I've ever met in my life. over those 20 years, I've sat and meditated and received information, and it's not darkness. It isn't cheating and lies, because there is a difference, and you know the difference between manipulating energies, and you know the difference between love energies. How do you know that, Mr. Bajerski? Because in this room, in rooms all over the world, when I give healing sessions to somebody who's not well, and then spirit comes through, they enter into your energy because you're feeling well and you're strong and you are receiving. When spirit is close to you, it is the most beautiful, and there are no words, the feeling of just being at home, feeling at peace, feeling tremendous. Like if you've scored a goal and it needed to be scored at the end of the match, there was only 1 minute left, and that feeling, times that by 100. That is the feeling of the spirit world. There is an inner peace that cannot be bought or explained. Now, when you work with people who have entity and attachment, and when you have attachment, you have none of those feelings. The feelings that you get is anger, frustration, fear, negativity. You want to be, there's a difference. And you know the difference when you meet people that are good and kind. You can say what they want, but I feel you, and you're not a good person. Inside you is not a good soul. You can be the most amazing politicians telling me everything that I need to hear, but you are not a good person. We tend to forgive people these days so easily, and that's wonderful, because to forgive means that you're not holding on to hate. But I don't forget. And I know when somebody's done something very bad, and then everybody wants to forgive them, and now they've turned to God and Jesus, that now we need to forgive them because God and Jesus would forgive them. It's the biggest trick in the book. There are so many podcasts out now where people have done the most heinous things and now becoming famous. Why is that? It's the same as Hollywood. They're all famous for doing bad things. Everybody who does something bad and now are famous. Oh, it's a mafioso who shot and killed 50 people. He's the biggest guy on the podcast. Or this grand Mason, or this wizard, or this Wiccan who's done the tremendously terrible things. And now, I've turned to Jesus, so listen to my story and I become famous. No, you're not God. You're not godly. There's no godly there. You're just embracing the same energy, which is ego and power. You're not really truthful. You're just telling your great story, and you're telling people what you want to hear, and people are not listening. Did he just say he's killed loads of babies? Did he just say he's done that to somebody? Did he say, and you think that's a good person? Oh, but he's turned to God. He's turned to Jesus. So now he's got Jesus and God's word. I mean, give me a break, guys. I mean, if there's a pedophile out there and he says, I've turned to God, well, you're going to believe that? That's it. All right, he's turned to God. It's all right. He was a pedophile, but he's not now. He's now in God's grace. The biggest trick in the book is the devil and what the devil has said. You have to know the difference between discerning over this amazing act, which is Hollywood, and which is so many who are on podcasts now telling their story, and everybody thinks they're heroes, and they've all of a sudden forgot because they're in love with Hollywood. They've been brainwashed in Hollywood. What do you mean, Mark? Keanu Reeves, just look at his last 3 movies where he goes and just kills maybe 400 people in a show, blasts their brains out, sticks things in their necks, and he's a hero. Wake up, guys. You're all being deluded. You're all being brainwashed. You actually now believe that the bad guy is the good guy. So when I watch all these videos and listen to all these people, yes, they're telling the truth. But because they're telling the truth doesn't make them good. Oh, but now I'm honest, so that makes me a good person. No, it doesn't. That doesn't redeem you from killing all them people. Oh, yeah, but there's a reason I did that, and this is the reason. No. Sorry, pal, but it doesn't matter what age you are. You know right from wrong if you are of the same spirit as me. We know right from wrong. We do no harm. No matter what, we do no harm. So don't start telling me you're like me and you're a man of God now, because you're not, because you've done harm and you are, no, sorry, mate. It don't matter how fantastic your story is, doesn't matter how amazing you're telling the truth, you still did harm, and you probably still would. And it makes me laugh because I've seen all these people saying that, and they slip up on these podcasts. And then you're like, wow, you haven't changed at all. And actually, if you deceived God back then, who says you're not deceiving God and everybody who's talking now, which they are? So yeah, just be aware of that. Just because I watch podcasts doesn't mean I'm looking at somebody and forgiving them and thinking they're honest and that makes them good. I'm like, no, I know exactly what that person's done. And whatever you're saying doesn't change the fact that what you've done. And so you have to be balanced, and you have to understand things. And the same is true to when people come for a healing session and they say things that, like, it's okay, it doesn't matter, and they're saying, oh my God, I've done this and I shouldn't have done. Like, just lie down, have a healing session. I choose not to interfere with somebody's path. I choose to help the best I can and do as much as I can to help somebody. That's it. But as far as entity is concerned, be aware who you're listening to. Be aware what's happening around you. Be aware who that person is, because they may speak words that you like, but deep down, they are of entity, they are of darkness, they are deceivers, and you just don't know unless you attune and feel, because what you're listening to here, what's coming into your ears from that person, could be a deceiving word. It can be key words that deceive you and disrupt you. So you have to feel. That's why I love it when I hear people say that I became kind of partially blind, which means I don't have my sight, but I have my senses and I can feel that person and I go with my feelings. Well, as a healer, we do the same thing. That's why I said, don't look at your eyes, feel the energy and see what it's like. So I've not been deceived from 38 years old onwards. Now, prior to that, I wasn't really deceived, but I listened to my head instead of my heart. And it's true for a lot of people, but they make the mistake. It's the other way around. So when people come to me and say, I shouldn't have gone with him, I listened to my heart instead of my head, I say, no, it was actually your head you listened to. You didn't listen to your heart, which is connected to your consciousness. And they go, oh, maybe you're right. I am right. I know I'm right, because that wouldn't have happened unless, of course, you decided to take that path and it was all written in your, I don't know if you even believe in that, but part of the journey of life is to meet people and go through a certain situation with them. And it could be to strengthen or to just experience it. So it could be abuse. It could be love, true love, and then breaking up. It could be so many reasons. So it's too easy to say it's a soul contract. It's too easy to say that. But I do believe that we do experience certain things in life. And there's got to be something in this regurgitating, this energy of meeting the same people who treat us the same way. Like, what have I learned from that? What did I do to change that? And it's fascinating, really. But anyway, getting back to attachments, they come, they go, they can stay, they can hang around. How do I know this? There was a client, I believe her name was Fiona, and she used to come to me all the time, maybe I'd say for a year. And every time she came to me, I felt downstairs at Tickle Pink, I'd be just sat there with Susie, and then my client would come and I'd feel some really dark shit attached to her. And I'm like, whoa, this is heavy. This I feel sick next to this woman. I don't even want her to come up the stairs. And then I open the door, we go up the stairs, try to be professional, and then all of a sudden it's gone. I'm like, wow, I don't feel. And I used to blame it on the room being really powerful and beautiful and changing the energy. But with this woman, I started recognizing every time I met her outside somewhere else, I'd feel the same, and it wouldn't go. Only when she came upstairs that it was gone. And then I realized this is at the very early stages of my healing, learning healing. And then I realized that she had an attachment, but it wasn't an attachment. It was some kind of entity that would hang around. And I realized that there are people that do have entities that hang around till your energy is low, so then they can fully attach. So if you're in a good energy, if you're feeling strong, if you're kind, caring, then you have a protection that entity cannot enter. So some entities are, I don't believe in the word assigned, but you could possibly say that they're there, and whether they come and go is something that I don't particularly know, because as a healer, I'm there with my client and then they've gone and then that's it. But I noticed that when an attachment is within a client and I'm working on them and then it's gone, if they go back home or go back to wherever that attachment was, sometimes they can pick up the same attachment. So that is when I used to go to houses and clear the houses. So there's something in this. People used to ask me, how come you clean the house? Why can't they be in the garden? And I'm like, I don't know, but sometimes I have done gardens, sometimes I've done fields, sometimes I've done forests, and they're in there. So it's not all 100% accurate in what I'm saying. There's got to be so many other reasons, but I'm just sharing things with you that I've learned. So when the client comes up and she's got an attachment and she's screaming and she's going crazy and the attachment's fully on, a pure energy healing session, it's gone. It disappears. It's gone. So most of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, once that's done, the client's better because they've had a pure energy healing and they've got their energy back. They're strong again. They feel happy. They've got inner peace. And then that protection comes over them. And I never had really any kind of returning issues, apart from at the very beginning when I was starting to learn and understand what all this was and how to work with it. So I used to enjoy going to houses first. So if a client would ring me up and say, I don't feel good, and I used to say to them, when do you not feel too good? Well, when I'm, in my kitchen, when I'm in my bedroom, I say, whereabouts are you normally when you start? Well, it's in my bedroom. Okay, so let me come to your house and let me do a cleansing. And that's when I'd sage the house and do a blessing and say words that you could only call a prayer, but the key words to make the change in the house. And I use Gregorian chant music, and I play that with prayer, and I also have other techniques that I use in that house. So I do the whole house, and then I bring the client and have a cleansing of whatever the attachment is, and then there'd be no problem. So most of my work was, first of all, go to the house, prepare the house so it's all cleansed so that no negativity can come there, no demonic attachments can be in there. And then I work on the client, and then the client goes home and everything's fine. So that was kind of how I used to work. But I did recognize that there are certain entity or demonic energies that can hang around and wait until you're at low frequency. You vibrate at a bad energy. So your door opens when you vibrate at a bad energy for bad energy to come in. When you vibrate at a high energy of love, you allow the door to open for beautiful things to come in. And it's just, it's so easy to understand that. But then when you listen to a lot of people who know nothing about this work, but just know a little bit, start talking nonsense and start saying all sorts of garbage, why was it so easy for me to clear attachments in houses and trap spirit? Why was it so easy to clear demonic energy when they were lying down for 1 or 2 hours? Why are they saying all of these things that it lasted for years and it came to, it's like, because they weren't healers. They didn't heal. They didn't know what they were doing. Most priests don't know what they're doing. Most priests haven't a clue. I used to have priests come to our house when I was a young kid because we had really bad energy there, and it still was there. Still weird things happened. So it's not about priests. It's about simply knowing what you're doing and sitting down and listening and working with that silence and feeling what's going on. What is in this house? Why is this happening in this house? You could have a trapped spirit that somebody passed away, they may have hung themselves, they're now in that house. They refuse to go into the light because of fear of going to hell, which there is no such thing, even though people believe there's such thing as hell. It's just an energy. It's just different places in the world where we go to. But because they believe in hell, and maybe they're like me and you, and they didn't want to be in this world anymore, and they come from our spirit world, they kill themselves. They believe that they're going to hell. You're not going to hell, but you refuse to then move into the light. You refuse to go forward. I mean, again, this idea of the light is another huge subject, but you refuse to vibrate and to go home because you're frightened of going to hell, right? So you're trapped in between two worlds. I'm sat there, and as I'm sat in peace and silence, I've got the music on, I've got everything that I need to clear this trapped spirit. And I start to communicate. I start to feel that this person's been hanged. And I can even see where they've been hanged. I can see the steps that go up, the banister there, the rope is there. I can see it because I'm being shown snippets. So I get up to confirm this, and I'll go into the other room and I'll say to whoever's in that room, I'll say, could somebody have taken their life in this house? Do you know? Yes, they hung themselves. I'm like, could they have hung themselves in the room that I'm in, and they use some rope up? That's exactly where they hung themselves. Okay, so now I know it's not just coming out of nowhere. I now have seen snippets of information. I go and sit back down, and now I start to speak to the spirit. I speak to the spirit as if I'm speaking to you. There is no difference. It's just speaking, not in words, but in thought. My thought is equal to any words, and it's as loud as any words. So I speak to the spirit in the house. It was a male man, round about 46 years old, wanted to take his life. I've already seen it. His life was crap. He lost his job. He blew all his money. I can see it. Hang on. He put all his money on shares. It's all gone. He can't feed his beautiful daughter who's dyslexic. I can see all of these things. And I'm like, okay, so now I know who he is. I'm now talking to him. I'm saying to him that your family in the spirit world are so looking forward for you to come home. They're here with me. They're here now. And I encourage him to know that he's not done anything wrong, that it's all fine, and just to go home. And as that conversation happens, you've got the spirit world already there waiting. They already know what's happening. They already have brought me there, and they're now creating the energy for him, for this beautiful trapped soul to vibrate into the light and to go home. That's how it works. That's one. That's trapped spirit. Then you go to the next one, where it's maybe a spirit that doesn't come from my spirit world, doesn't come from your spirit world, and this man who did terrible things, raped children, or did bad demonic things, is in the house and refused again to go home, whatever. He's just angry, and whatever's happening, he's in that house. He's smashing mirrors, which I don't like mirrors. They like to smash mirrors. There's something about mirrors I don't like. They like to switch on they like to mess with water all the time. They love anything electrical, because they can work through that frequency, and so on. So they like to mess with children. They like to mess with people when they're in a bad place. So I'm in there now. I feel this person in a different house, and I'm like, okay, this is a darker energy. This is a heavy energy. This is more, what you would call, I guess, attachment, or demonic. It's dark. So now I'm not talking. Now I know what this person is. I can feel what this soul is. It's not the soul from my soul world. So that I try to communicate. I try to forgive. I try to do the same thing. No spirit world around. There's no spirit world around. Well, why aren't the spirit world here? They normally come. That's because it's not the same place where we come from. So now there's only one thing I can do, is sage the place. So now I tell everybody to leave the house. I totally sage the place. And then that entity's gone. For some reason, sage gets rid of demonic, dark energies. And I sage the place in such a way that you can't breathe in there. You literally cannot breathe in every single room, because that entity will move, because for some reason, entity does not like smoke of sage. So I just blasted the whole house. And then I go away. Right, we leave the house for 2 hours, come back again, open all the doors and windows, let it all out, And then I ask the clients, please let me know if there's any other issues and problems. Never I got any problems. What I would do then is say to the client who came to me and said, we've got problems, I'd say to all the family, come up for a healing session today. And then I know that they're all cleansed. There's no attachments to them. So everything always worked out really well. So in 20 years of working with thousands of clients, I never really had anybody that said, oh, it's come back again. Like, I don't even remember it. I just remember doing the job and people saying, Jesus Christ, when you sage the house, even my cat that's never been in the house for 2 years has come back. That happened all the time. And things just became beautiful. The relationships strengthened. So many things, like they looked at and thought, why did we do that? So this is how I see my work, and how I see the spirit world working with us and protect us. When you talk about angels by your side, it's not just angels by your side. It's the spirit world, which is, you are a drop of the spirit world. You are part of that ocean. So that ocean is never going to reject you. It's always going to be in you, because you are in that ocean as the ocean is in you. Therefore, you are always protected as long as your energy is of the pure energy of love and kindness. If you vibrate, if you do bad things, if you make mistakes, if you do things deliberately, which can happen because sometimes you can get angry and you vibrate at the same frequency of everybody else's anger and get pulled into the lie, then sometimes it can happen that you vibrate at a different frequency, and then you are different from the spirit world. Your vibration now is changed, and that's when entity can come in, and that's when it always did. That's why I got clients who came to me that was always sick, angry, jealous, bitter, loads of different low frequency, and they're like, wow, they've got attachments, they've got bad energy inside them because they've created it from whatever they've done or whatever somebody's done to them. So it isn't as simple as what I'm saying in this hour. It isn't. I am not telling you everything. I'm just giving you 1 hour of 20 years of experience, 20 years of learning so much. So I can go into vast amount of detail, into like little tiny snippets of what we're talking about, and go off in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on that particular subject. It's hard for me to just tell you everything and say this is how it all works, because there's no such thing. There's so many layers to everything. But ultimately today, guys, I just want to share this. The healthier you are, the more you exercise, the more you're in Mother Nature, the more you eat correctly with real foods and not man-made poisons, the more you love your environment and the people around you, the more you have good people who care and love you for who you are so you can love them back for who they are, the more you walk your path of truth by way of knowing right from wrong. Do no harm, be kind, send gifts, be loving, be generous. When you send gifts, don't send them as a business transaction, send them as love, send them with love, and that's it. That's all I'm doing. Say prayers in the way. When you put two hands together, guys, it isn't a religion. It's two frequencies, two energies that come together to create something powerful, which blasts out into the universe. That is a prayer. That's pure energy being sent. And you send that to people that you love. Do you know anybody that hates you now? Send them love. Do you know anybody who's sick? Send them love. I do this twice a day. And it's simple. And these hands are the most powerful hands in the world. That's why I put them onto clients. And no darkness can stay there, because my hands are of light, because I'm open and receiving and I'm giving healing. And no entity can stay with that. Not a chance. Be it an hour or 2 hours, I ain't going anywhere, pal. And the entity hears that and knows that. I ain't going anywhere. And you cannot stay in this body, because the light is far more powerful. And then it goes. It might take a couple of hours. It might take an hour, but it's gone. So I know the power in these hands. I know the power if I cut these together and put them anywhere on my body, it will heal. That's called self-healing. But you only understand this, you only know this if you practice. And that, my dear friends, is my little chat today for you from the bottom of my heart. And I hope you get something from it, even if it's one thing. And I do it with love. So that's it. I'm not here to sell any products to you. I'm not bothered about that, because people just keep calling me a salesman, which I've always been a salesman all my life. I've always sold things that I love. There's a difference between two salesmen, guys. One that sells things that they know works, and ones that sells things just to become rich and powerful and to screw people. You know the difference. I sell things that I love, that I work with. I sell things that I know that work for me. So call me what you want. But anyway, today is not about me telling you about what crystals to wear, what incense to use. You'll figure that out yourself. But what I share with you today is my experience with love. And I hope you appreciate this podcast. And it's now 55 minutes, so all good time for the Richie Allen radio show, and listening to a wonderful guest. And we send Richie our healing to his chest and hope he gets better soon. And I also want to wish you all a lovely day. And remember, at this time in life, the only thing that matters is your health and well-being. Please look after yourself. Please focus on good things. Please always discern between listening to certain people that bring fear into your life, and be careful, because now you know that if you vibrate at that frequency, then you will almost definitely start feeling bad. And if you feel bad, then you're opening the door to darkness. You can't afford to feel bad. Feel good. Work on feeling good. Just focus on feeling good and doing good, and you're protected. You are protected, whether you want to call it, by the grace of God that you are protected. That's no problem. I call it spirit world, my home world, which is an ocean where I come from, of love and the most beautiful energy in the world. That's where I come from. That's where you come from. Because if you see somebody fall and hurt themselves, the first thing you feel is pain, and you run over and you want to help them. That you come from the same world as me. And there are people in this world that do not come from the same place as you and I. That's why they're angry, bitter, jealous, nasty. They want to say bad things, because that's what they feed from. That's their cesspit where they come from. They come from an ocean cesspit. That's what they need. So that's why they're going to cause as much pain and suffering to people. But they can only do that when they know you're weak. And like people, watch out for weak people. That's why bullies only pick on that they believe are weaker people. So be strong and be confident in your knowing that you have the power. So let's leave it at that. No one has the power over you. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Till tomorrow.